Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have...
No, keep going.
I know, I should have done that, darn it.
I was turning around, I was like, oh, that's part of it.
No, it's
You were good.
See?
Because I'm reading it.
I know, yeah. Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city lane. I have passed the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street, but not to call me back or say goodbye, but further still, at an unearthly height, a luminary clock against the sky proclaimed the time was neither right nor wrong. I have been one acquainted with the night.
So, Tarishi's performance of Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost, there were a few accuracy issues, and by few I mean 6. I don't remember all of them. They were slight, but they still count. So the accuracy judge will be reading your poem along with you, and if you say a instead of but, or just the slightest change, it counts. So you'll want to memorize the words precisely, but also there are the more minor accuracy issues where there can be commas, and if you blow past the comma, that counts as well. So pay attention to where the commas are, practice your pauses, focus on the periods, all the punctuations, practice that, and make sure the pauses aren't overemphasized, because that will take away from you too. That will make it seem like you've completely forgot what you were going to say. But focus on the pauses, make sure they are there but slight, and don't do the wandering eyes when you pause, because it looks like you don't know what you're talking about. Kind of like what I just did. So I'll let you go now.
So I didn't have the poem in front of me, so my feedback is really more so from what I heard and what I saw. And Tarishi really captivated me with the emotion of the poem. I definitely found myself in an imaginative space because of the ways in which his voice and articulation, every word came out clearly, and his voice was really carrying the poem so that I was following along, and there was a clear beginning and there was a clear ending, and you want to take note of that. You want to make sure that you don't end or begin or even pause in a way that creates confusion for maybe someone who doesn't have the poem in front of them to not know whether or not you're done or when you were technically starting. So take note of the ways in which she did that, and the dramatic appropriateness for me was absolutely stunning, because it wasn't too dramatic and it wasn't like a monologue, but it felt like a poem. And I'm familiar a bit with Robert Frost's work, so it also felt like a Robert Frost poem. And I would say that take note of those things and continue to build upon excellent work like we just saw.
I wasn't fully able to follow every word, but just paying attention to body language and just the overall vibe of the poem, I think he conveyed it very well. I did feel acquainted with the night as he was going through the poem. I think he did a good job with the performance part. And as Kim stated, there were some parts that he missed in terms of accuracy, so I'll take her word for it. So that's just something that you have to keen in on when you're going through the memorization process, but overall, good job.
Yes, overall it was an excellent performance. There will be only one accuracy judge, so only one person actually following along to make sure that you nail it word for word, pause for pause. But again, pay attention to the overall performance, pay attention to the, you know, articulation, to your dramatic appropriateness, because the rest of the judges will be focusing on that. So you want a well-rounded performance. And aside from the few accuracy issues, that was a solid performance. So that is what we will be looking for.